I believe there's a hero in all of us.
You have great powers, only some of which you have as yet discovered.
I'm a superhero, Mama.
A real-life superhero.
The world needs extraordinary. We will make you a superhero.
Are you ready to become a hero?
Initiating surprise in 3.
This
2
is
1.
The Real Brian Show.
Oh, wow. It's almost Halloween. I'm getting scared. This is the show that gives you a positive escape from all the crap around you. It is time to nerd out on the things that better our lives and end our week right. Squid Games. What is all this hype about? Well, we watched the first episode and we will give you our thoughts. We've got our favorite 1970s movies for you, and we are giving you our review of New World.
I'm not wearing any pants. Film at 11.
Let's rock it! Oh yeah, rocking it, rocking it. Welcome here to The Real Brian Show. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Captain, how are you doing, man?
I'm pretty good, dude. I'm in a good mood today.
That's good.
You know, coming off our first video episode last week, the second one now, and
yeah,
you know, I learned a few lessons from that episode.
I'm still learning.
I learned that I have really wide cheeks on camera, and that I smile with this really dumb look on my face if I'm just smiling at the screen, like, which is basically what I do when at any given show that we have. I'm just kind of smiling at the screen while we talk like this, you know? You know, and when I see it in video, it's like, oh my gosh, I look kind of ridiculous. So
I get you.
So I'm just not going to smile anymore.
Yeah, don't. I'm smiling on the inside. I learned that I have a very shiny nose, kind of like Rudolph, except it's not red.
Yeah.
And apparently I need to apply some, did you say foundation? Is that what you were telling me? I need a makeup artist.
Yeah, you need some foundation, Brian.
Kemen, anything?
Sorry.
Yeah, foundation.
My wrist is doing that thing again. Stop.
Yeah. I got the one-handed clap. Can you hear that? That's the one-handed clap. So it's hard to do, man, but I can do it with both hands too. It's a talent. And so look, I got a shiny cheek too. Shiny chic. I don't know, dude. It's one of those. You don't think about this stuff when you're on audio. I mean, we don't even put any clothes on. We don't shave. I mean, you know, I haven't showered in 6 months. I mean, it's just one of those things where you get on video and you go, "Wow, I look like that."
That's why I
scared myself.
That's why men and women wear makeup on TV. That's exactly why.
Well, and two, the lights make you look kind of like a ghost, which is not. I mean, that's pretty normal. I mean, when I did, it is funny. Yeah, don't smile. I did TV. It's a couple times actually, and they had to put makeup on me and kind of darken the face a little bit. And I did stage stuff before too, and you kind of look weird. You look like you have an excessive tan, but it's to balance the white light that's coming. I mean, right now I kind of look a little ghosty, and I was out in the sun at an air show, so it is what it is. But all these things we're learning, man. I mean, I'm still learning right now what to do. They're like, you need to look at the camera more. I'm like, well, I was trying to do more of a bird's eye view and not at the camera. And I'm like, okay, fine. It's hard to look at the camera when I'm pushing buttons everywhere. And stop smiling. Stop, stop having any fun. Okay,
don't listen to people telling you look at the camera all the time. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I got to do what I got to do.
Look where you got to do. Exactly.
I'm going to look when I'm talking to you, listening, watching, I'm looking at the camera because you are important. You are. I mean, really, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this if you weren't watching or listening. But if I'm talking to you, Captain, I'm going to be looking down, like looking down on you.
Yeah.
From above, from my throne, you know, the minions below me. What were we talking about?
Oh,
your goofy smile. This was the other thing that I thought was hilarious. You didn't have one, by the way. You just looked happy.
Not right now, I don't.
Everyone else, everyone else that when you said something about that, the comments, I heard a lot of comments back, people saying, "Oh, Captain thought he looked goofy," and they're like, "Actually, he looked happy. He was smiling."
I was happy.
The other thing.
So,
I totally now for people who knew me already, you already know what I looked like. I haven't heard anything from anyone else going, "Dear God, Brian, like, wow. I mean, you are the heinousness above all heinousness of bad-looking people out there. You know, I thought you were going to be this hot dude, you know, and wow, you're so ugly." Like, that's what I thought I was going to hear. But instead, I heard about you. No,
he didn't look like I thought he would.
That's exactly well, and I expected that, and it was so funny. Everyone's like, "I can't wait to see Captain Influence," and I say, I guarantee he will not look like you think he will, because That's
never
normal.
do.
No,
That never happens. Yeah,
and
never.
and that's exactly what everybody said is, wow, he didn't look what I thought. Everybody thought, well, actually, I would say the majority of people thought you were bald. And then when they saw you, they were like, "Whoa, he's got a lot of hair."
I'm wearing a hat this time, but I do have enough hair. Yeah,
You got a thick head of hair, man.
I'm going there. No, it's not thick anymore, dude. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, even into college, whenever I got a haircut,
you looked like Tony Danza.
Yeah, the stylists always commented on, "Wow, you have such beautiful thick hair." I'm like, "Yeah, all right."
Can I just run my fingers through your hair?
As soon as I hit my mid-20s, it started to thin out a little bit. So yeah.
All right. Well, here's my Star Wars mug. Whoops. Wrong way. This is a weird mug. Like I hold my mug in my right hand and this is my left hand. But that is my famous little Star Wars mug, courtesy of Rob Dog, who hasn't been on the show in a long time. So that's pretty cool.
I'm jealous, yeah. Rob Dog.
Oh, let's show off our shirts really quickly for those listening. Captain, you're first. I mean, what are you wearing? What?
That's we're not gonna do this every episode, right?
You know when we say like, "What are you drinking?" We're gonna be like, "Hey, what are you wearing?
What are you wearing?" Well, I'm not wearing any pants. I'm wearing a Appleseed T-shirt. You guys know Appleseed?
Nice.
It's a Japanese anime by Shiro Masamune, from like the late 80s, early 90s. I used to collect the comic book when I was a kid.
Very nice, dude.
And yeah, so
cool. All right, well, there
you go. How about
you? Well, you're not going to be able to see very much because of the camera panning, but I have a cool dude. It's an astronaut who is, I'm trying to go back. Anyway, he's on the moon. And he's jumping, see, and he's shooting a basketball. Oh, look.
Oh.
Shot the hoop, baby. Oh, yeah. That's
kind of cool.
That's my nerd sport combo kind of thing. You know, I love obviously, I love basketball, and I love my my nerdy stuff. So there you go. So that's the fun stuff, man. Yeah, I love space, the final frontier. Now, I am drinking a chai right now, but I had to, you know, we always talk about what are we drinking here because it's fun, but I got to tell you about this awesome drink that I made. You ever heard of the golden chai or golden milk?
That sounds nasty, Brian.
No, it's
golden chai.
It's turmeric and chai. You ever heard those?
What? Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, so they have them. I think they're called either golden milk or you can get a golden chai. No, your mind went to a different place, but it's chai spices, turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, you know, all that good stuff, and then I mixed it up with some of the Oatly oat milk. Hey, Oatly, I want a sponsorship. Where are you? Come on.
Yeah, come on, Oatly.
Dang it. It is so good.
Good News Network. Come on now.
Yeah, it is so good. And I'm actually doing this partially because it tastes good and also partially because turmeric, which I know has a lot of anti-inflammatory benefits. And so I'm apparently in this heaping scoop that you put into your whatever. It's got 1,000 milligrams of turmeric. So I'm going to try drinking that twice a week and kind of see what happens and how it goes and, you know, make sure it doesn't affect the voice and stuff, you know. And
so it has a gram of turmeric in it, right?
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. I just go with the 1,000. I don't do math, man. So hey, okay, let's talk about Squid Games because I'm just going to jump right into it because people have been going crazy about this. I mean, I feel like feels like, let's just say I'm prefacing it feels like almost everybody that I know, and that's why I'm saying almost because there are some people that are not. Almost everyone I know either has or is watching Squid Games, and they are flipping out about it. Oh my gosh, it's the greatest show. Holy crap, you've got to watch this. It's so good. I binged it all the way to the end. And then that's what I'm reading too, is that it has taken the world by storm and blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking, is this some genius marketing effort? Is it like something went viral, or is it really that good? So we thought, let's at least watch the first episode and give you our initial thoughts. So Captain,
it definitely went viral for sure. That's my take. This show just went viral, word of mouth. Everyone's like, have you seen Squid Games? Oh, well, everyone's seeing Squid Games. We should watch that.
Everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, everyone else is doing it. So it's the very definition of a viral phenomenon. And marketing doesn't even play into it. Maybe initially, but really where this thing has exploded is word of mouth. And first of all, it's very Korean. And I don't mean that derogatorily at all. It's just the style is very, foreign to Western television a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
It's dubbed in English, so it takes a little getting used to.
Yep.
But the premise is so weird that it just compels me to keep watching. Honestly, I after the first episode, I was more or less hooked. I didn't think it was amazing. It's just it hooked me. A warning to everyone though, if you haven't seen it, it's extremely violent. A lot of gratuitous gun violence.
Yeah.
A lot. I thought the character development was really good. It makes me want to keep watching to see what happens to the various individuals involved. But again, what I got from I've been 2 episodes in. By the way, the first episode's amazing. Amazing. The second episode is really slow, but it's kind of important to the development of the story, and it picks up again in the third episode. So, which I've watched part of. And I have to ask, what is so darn compelling about gun violence? What is it?
Yeah.
And apparently our species simply cannot get enough of people shooting each other dead. And the older I get, the stranger this seems to me. And I'm not preaching. I'm not right. Gun violence. These kids these days. I'm not doing that. I'm not. I'm just as compelled by it as a lot of other people. But as I've gotten older, I've stopped to think about it more. Like, what is this? I mean, is that really a healthy sign of a society? No, it's not. I mean, that's a given. But yet they just keep throwing it at us, and we keep eating it up. So
I was asking that question after watching this episode, and I actually wrote it down, and then I deleted it because I thought, I don't know if you're gonna want to talk about that. And then you brought it up, and I'm like, okay, let's get into this for a second. Yeah. It is something that actually really concerns me because when I watch shows like this and some of the other shows that people are absolutely obsessed with right now, that are either let's put it this way. They're either incredibly dark, like depressing dredges of darkness, like whatever you want to call it, or they're gratuitously violent. And you just kind of got to go, what should we be watching this first of all? And the answer is probably not. I mean, let's be honest. We probably shouldn't be, because whatever goes in our brain will affect us one way or the other. Ideally, we have enough self-control to prevent ourselves from going down a path like that, but it's still there.
Most of us do, yeah.
Most of us. Well, I wouldn't say most.
What it really does is it just kind of deadens us to that sort of phenomenon, right? I mean, it just makes it so. I mean, it's thrown at us so much that, like, when there's a school shooting or if some other mass shooting in the world, I mean, to be perfectly honest, when that happens, my reaction anymore is just like, oh, another school shooting. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I just don't care.
There are a lot of people that are freaking out about that, of course, and they should, because that's horrific, yeah. But at the same time, you got to go, what compels us to love this stuff, to want more of this? And the only thing I can come down to is our lives are too boring. We have no excitement in our lives. We just kind of live that boring day in and day out, punch our clocks at work, you live for the weekend. Life is dull, man. You want to feel something. I mean, that's the only thing that I can, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I hope I'm wrong too, but it feels like that's the only, like, of course, no one's going to admit
explanation.
It's the only explanation for people's compulsion to want to watch this stuff, because they want to feel something. And yet, watching a bunch of people getting gunned down, shots in the head and blood exploding and their brains going all over the place, man, it makes you feel something. Yeah.
Well, but to be fair, it doesn't make most people feel good. It's not like most people watching those scenes. Yeah, you're right. Most people watching those scenes are not going, all right, they're shooting all those people for no good reason. No, that's not what anybody's saying, or at least not very many people. It's an, oh my gosh, did that just happen thing, and that's what hooks us. So
yeah, and that's my personal opinion. The untrained, unlicensed, unschooled psychologist in me is saying that. So clearly I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's the only thing I can come up with. And maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I am, and I hope that doesn't sound derogatory. And nothing, by the way, if you love this stuff, I'm not saying anything down on you. It's just, you brought up a great question, is why are we so, like,
we're just asking the question. Totally, yeah.
And same with video games. We talked about this, that you find that 99% of video games these days, it's about killing things or killing someone or killing people. And you just kind of go, why do we like this? It's so weird.
That's been from the very beginning of video games. That's since the video games were, I mean, not from the very first video game.
There were a lot of video games in the early years that were not about killing. There were a lot. In fact, I think it was probably close to 50-50 back in the day. And now it's like 95-5 of violent games.
Yeah, maybe.
It's changed. But you're right. I mean, it's still there.
But like, we were talking about earlier, was that even like kids video games that are really, hunky dory or whatever, like Pokemon or just very,
you only knock people out in Pokemon.
Yeah. Or even more innocent video games. You're still killing like this cartoon dragon, or you're killing like a cartoon bunny, or and it's always about killing, and that's just interesting to me. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fascinating in a negative way, but anyway.
Yeah, I know, and it's not like we're not casting judgment because we play games that kill things too, and we watch movies. I mean, so but it is a good question. Like, why do we like this?
Yeah.
And should we like this? That kind of thing. Yeah. So my thought on Squid Game was the first episode. I only watched the first episode. It was interesting. I thought it was okay. I was not blown away. Maybe it's because of the hype that was out there. I thought, okay, this has got to be amazing. I have a hard time with dubbed shows and movies as well. The one that I really liked that I didn't have as much of a problem with was Lupin, which was French dubbed in English as well. Okay. I didn't mind it, but it still bothered me a little bit, and it's more of that because their mouths are doing something different than what you're hearing. And sometimes the voiceover English is not great. Yeah. Sometimes it's excellent. And sometimes you're like, wow,
you just have to get used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. But, I will say that I felt my mind wandering a little bit during the episode, which I was surprised. And just because I was going, okay, get to the point. What are we doing here? I don't know. The gratuitous violence for me was not interesting and not something I really like seeing anymore. I mean, there were times where I was like, ooh, I've never seen this before. Okay, cool. And now I just go, I don't want to see this because it really does. It darkens you. It brings you down, and I don't want that in my life.
That's fair.
We talk about people that don't have any, they don't feel anything. They live boring, mundane lives and stuff like that. My life has been the exact opposite. I have not had that boring, mundane life. I've had like the most excitement, not always positive. And so for me, I'm just like, I need something happy, man. So I'm coming at it from that perspective. I've seen and experienced a lot. It's good to have positivity lifting you up. Not everybody's in my place. So that's why I'm pointing that out. So this didn't draw me in. I don't feel compelled to watch the second episode. I'm kind of like, I don't really care. Actually, if I watch it, great. Fair. And if I don't care. So, but maybe I'm missing something. Like you said, maybe there's something, maybe I need to watch the second episode and see, but it's one of those, like, I could take or leave it. So that's my thought though. And I know I'm coming at it from a different perspective.
I don't think that, and personally, I don't think that you'll be missing out if you don't see the rest of the series, to be honest. And I ought to be perfectly honest, I have to watch the rest of the series to make that judgment fully. But I don't think that, for the reasons you just stated, I think that you'd be probably better off not watching the rest of it, because it is all about gratuitous violence. So,
which again, whatever, to each his or her own.
Right.
So
exactly.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, what I am looking forward to, which is a little different, it is, it's so funny. I heard somebody say this is a great horror show, and I'm like, it is? Lock and Key. I guess there's some horror. To me, it's more like a fantasy, sci-fi, suspense kind of thing, which I love that. I didn't see horror in it, but then again,
no, it's
whatever.
Horror in the same way that Stranger Things is horror, right? I mean, it's a little bit,
see, that's different.
Yeah.
It's not the Freddy Krueger kind of horror that
it's not
genre.
A slasher movie.
Yeah, I guess there's different genres of that as well. But
that's right.
That's out today. Definitely going to watch. I'm not going to get we're not going to watch them all for next week, but we'll at least give you our impressions on the first episode or two. And then
that's right.
Dune, the new Dune movie is out today finally. So whether you go to the theater to watch it or whether you watch it at home on streaming, I think it's on Max, right? HBO Max or something like that?
HBO Max, yeah, finally.
Yeah, so we're going to watch that. We'll definitely review that next week, spoilers and all, so we'll try to save that for the end of the episode. Well, maybe we won't do, we'll see. But anyway, there's a new Batman coming out. The Batman is what it's called. There's two thoughts that came to mind. One, this looks awesome. Two, do we really need another Batman?
Not this soon.
And
I say this soon,
no,
but
we don't, because the Christian Bale Batmans were so good.
Yes.
We're fine for a while. Give it another 10 years or so. It is too soon. It's just
give it another century. I mean, come on, make something else, Hollywood. The Riddler appears to be the primary antagonist again. And the other thing I noticed is that Batman has a Mad Max car now.
Which
his car looks like a Mad Max car.
Yeah, it was a little weird to me, but whatever. That's all I gotta say. Whatever, man. I'm gonna see it because it's Batman and because it's DC and it's comics, but it's just like we just don't need another one. It's starting to get cluttered. Like, come up with something else. Pick another superhero. I don't know. That's my
honestly.
theory.
I'm not even a little interested in this reboot. I'll watch it
Yeah.
if we're going to review it on the show, but I'm not looking forward to it. So,
okay. Well, that's
yeah.
good to know. And that's
Yeah.
I think that whoever's creating these things needs to take a little bit of a step back, because I have heard from multiple people recently, and every one of these people that have said it, said we're superheroed out. Like, we're getting tired of it. And
that's true.
I'm not, just because the superhero genre is probably still one of my favorites. Sci-fi, superhero genre. Those are two of my favorites right now. Although I really want to see more alien-based movies. You know, the zombie craze, I've been over for, more than 10 years. Like, enough. Stop making zombie movies.
Please.
And I mean, we're done.
Yeah.
Games, like, just stop, man. It's you've beaten the dead zombie over and
I
over.
feel like the zombie craze is petering out a little bit. What I'm really looking forward to is the Aliens series coming out in 2023.
And that's what I mean, like more alien-based stories. Back when they did a lot of alien movies and TV shows back in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, and then it became all about zombies, and it's been about zombies since, and post-apocalyptic.
And superheroes.
And superheroes kind of came into play when Iron Man came up. It was like, oh, look, it's popular.
Yep.
Let's just flood the market. They need to slow down. I mean, I'm even saying this as someone who loves the genre. They need to slow down. They're killing us. They're going to destroy the genre to the point where people don't even like it anymore, and that's not good. So anyway, hey, we got some feedback here from the Wraith that I wanted to play, which thanks a lot, man. Here you go. Check it out.
Real brillant et capitaine influence. This is Mark from Ontario, Canada here, aka the Wraith, calling in to congratulate you. Not on episode 300, because everyone's going to be congratulating you on that one. And I mean, it is something you should be proud of. But no, I want to congratulate you on episode 301. You see, 300 is kind of a destination, a checkpoint, if you will. But episode 301 is a new beginning, a new chapter. It starts your journey towards episode 400. And that's what I want to congratulate you on. You know what I just realized? I just realized how much time I've wasted listening to you guys. All those hours of my life that I'm never going to get back. Yeah. All that time spent listening to your nonsensical chitter-chatter about what you're drinking that day.
Exactly.
Movie and TV reviews, video game talks, basketball, a sport invented up here in Canada, by the way. Oh, and not to mention all your music recommendations.
Yeah.
Forcing us to, quote-unquote, go check out the TRB playlist on Spotify. Because you can't even play us a clip for us to decide if you're onto something or just have terrible taste in music?
It's not my fault.
301 episodes. Huh. Wow. But you know what? If I'm going to waste any of my precious time listening to an eclectic collection of nonsensical jibber-jabber by a couple of multi-passionate bozos, I can't think of any better two people to spend it with than you two.
Wow.
Congratulations once again on reaching this milestone of episode 301. Oh yeah, congratulations on finally getting video. I swear, the way you were going, I thought this would never happen.
So did I.
Neither did we.
Wraith,
that's
thank
awesome.
You. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. That was one of the nice. I think it was the best feedback I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, and
creative.
Really well done too.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks a lot.
I appreciate that. You're right. I mean, there's really no better truth than what Mark just said right there. That is it. Thank you though for wasting. That should be the tagline. Come waste an hour with us. I mean, it really is. Like, thank you for wasting your life away with us, because that's all it is. I mean, we talked about this. You clock punch. You're living for the weekend. Why wouldn't you waste an hour of your week with us? Why wouldn't you do that? This is the best part of your week.
That's a good point. That'll
Seriously.
make Friday go a little faster, honestly. Because when you listen to two people chat about stuff, an hour goes by and you don't even know it. So,
and you're like, well, I'm not interested in that. And be like, well, who cares? Wait for the next. It's kind of like Colorado. You don't like the weather. Wait 2 minutes. It'll be different. Just wait. Give us 2 minutes. We'll move on to the next topic. Anyway, Wraith, that meant a lot. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Speaking of random, like squirrel. I went to an air show, which was my parents. So basically what was a beautiful thing is that Sarah, Miss Light, had the opportunity to get a couple of dress rehearsal tickets to the air show, which was taking place last weekend, but the dress rehearsal was on Friday. We got a chance to go, which was, man, such a beautiful thing. My parents went, my parents and I used to go to air shows when I was young and stuff. It was so much fun. So Yeah, I mean, the Blue Angels were flying. They were doing an F-35 demonstration, an A-10, A-10 demonstration, stunt pilots, F-16. Actually, the F-16 flyover was just on the Friday for the or for the actual dress rehearsal. He did not perform for the air show, so that was cool. We got to see that, and then I went over and took some pictures with it and talked to one of the guys over there. He took off the engine cover, and he's like, "Here, take a picture of the engine." I'm like, "Sweet." He's like, "If I did that with the F-35 right now, they'd kill us both." Okay, well, glad we're not doing that because
why is a photo of the turbine or whatever still classified for the F-35? I don't get that.
Because it's proprietary technology.
He's not taking the access panel off the engine and letting you
apparently
take a picture
if you were to stick your head up the rear exhaust, you would see things that you're not supposed to see, and then you could sell that to other countries and they would develop the technology as well. So anyway, we both would have been shot that day, Friday. I wouldn't be talking to you right now if we had done that, but we didn't. We just did the F-16 panel, so we're good.
I assure you that has already been done. Someone has stuck their head up the exhaust and sold it to another company. I'm sure.
I'm sure they've tried.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. But it's one of those. What is kind of cool though is that when he took that off and I'm there, I was like, you could still kind of feel the heat from the engine a little bit. That was really nice, and it was a cool experience. But man, what a show! So good. There were only about 300-400 of us somewhere in there at the entire airfield, And then of course the actual air show day, there were somewhere around 15,000 people per day, which is first of all, that's a lot of people. Second of all, awesome. Like,
especially in this day and age.
People. Yes, this is Colorado, but the Blue Angels performed and they did such a great job, and the F-35 demonstration was amazing. Oh.
Did they perform to Van Halen? What's that song? Don't the Blue Angels have a theme song by Van Halen?
Song. It's is it Dreams?
Yes.
The one where it's like, so let's go higher and higher, or whatever it is. Yeah, that song. They did that. And what's amazing to me, I'm glad you brought up the music because I totally forgot. It's coordinated. So when, Sammy Hagar starts singing his, so let's go higher. I don't know what the words are. The higher part. They literally start climbing at the same exact time. How nice. They time that, I don't know. That's amazing. And all of their music was coordinated to what they were doing beautifully. It was amazing. I mean, so cool, dude. And then they've got this rider. So one of the Blue Angels planes, it's the number 7 plane, has two seats in the cockpit. All the rest of them are one-seaters. They always take up somebody. And usually it's a media person, but whoever was in this, they did and usually the person that goes up, they do, some very basic maneuvers and not that much. It's like the rest of them perform, and this is, the other guys, we'll turn here, maybe we'll climb and descend a little bit, but whoever was riding in this one did the entire show as is. And so I'm thinking either this guy had filled a vomit bag and or passed out because of the G's he pulled, or she, or was trained and has dealt with G training. I don't know.
That's my guess. But honestly, I
seriously, it was crazy. I mean, I would love to, and no way.
No way in hell.
Way.
No way.
Yeah.
I would never go up in a plane like that. I just don't have I don't have the chops for it. I just don't.
It was so cool though, but good times, man. We had earplugs. I have negative 25 decibel earplugs that I had in, and I still also had to cover my ears because it was that loud. And a lot of people had no ear protection, and I'm like, you'll be deaf. Anyway, great time, great show. Let's do an origin. Captain's origin time. Let's do it.
Yeah, so continuing our Halloween themed origin. This week's origin is the jack-o'-lantern.
Ooh, yes.
Now, I got the origin, a combination of from the history.com and Wikipedia. So pumpkins with ghoulish faces and illuminated by candles are a sure sign of the Halloween season, of course. The practice of decorating jack-o'-lanterns originated in Ireland. I didn't know that, where large turnips and potatoes served as early canvases. In fact, the name jack-o'-lantern comes from an Irish folktale about a man named Stingy Jack. Irish immigrants brought the tradition to America, home of the pumpkin, and it became an integral part of Halloween festivities.
Interesting.
People have been making jack-o'-lanterns at Halloween since the early 19th century, so the early 1800s. The practice originated from an Irish myth about a blacksmith named Stingy Jack. According to the story, Stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him. True to his name, Stingy Jack didn't want to pay for his drink, so he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin so that Jack could use to buy their drinks. Once the devil did so, Jack decided to keep the money and put it into his pocket next to a silver cross, which prevented the devil from changing back to his original form. Jack eventually conditioned that he would not bother Jack for 1 year, and that should Jack die, he would not claim his soul. The next year, Jack again tricked the devil into climbing into a tree to pick a piece of fruit. While he was up in the tree, Jack carved a sign of the cross in the tree's bark while the devil was up in the tree, so that the devil could not come down until the devil promised Jack not to bother him for 10 more years. Soon after that, Jack died. As the legend goes, God would not allow such an unsavory figure into heaven. The devil, upset by the tricks Jack had played on him and keeping his word not to claim his soul, would not allow Jack into hell. So he sent Jack off into the dark night with only a burning coal to light his way. Jack put the coal into a carved-out turnip and has been roaming the earth with it ever since. The Irish began to refer to this ghostly figure, by the way, responsible for the reported phenomenon of strange lights flickering over peat bogs, which is a very English thing or a British thing. Also called will-o'-the-wisps, as some of you may have heard. They started referring to these as Jack of the Lantern and then simply Jack-o'-lantern. So in Ireland and Scotland, people began to make their own versions of Jack's lanterns by carving scary faces into turnips or potatoes and placing them into windows or near doors to frighten away stingy Jack and other wandering evil spirits.
Interesting.
In England, large beets were used. Immigrants from these countries brought the jack-o'-lantern tradition with them when they came to the United States, and then they soon found that pumpkins, which was a fruit native to America, make perfect jack-o'-lanterns, and they do. So incidentally, a record was set on October 21st, 2006, when 30,128 jack-o'-lanterns were simultaneously lit on Boston Common in downtown Boston, Massachusetts.
That's cool.
So that's the record for the most jack-o'-lanterns in one place.
Oh, man.
So
That's really cool. Thanks for the origin.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it is a good one, actually. It's a really good one. All right, there you go. I like these October-themed ones, and we've got more coming. And, what is today? That's the 22nd already. So I guess we have one more before Halloween, and then it's going to be Sci-Fi November already before we know it. Holy cow. Time flies, dude.
It does. Every year more.
Let's talk about our movies. So we're down to the last 2 weeks of our favorite movies from each decade. We're hitting the 70s this week. Next week will be 60s and earlier. And so I need to start off just by saying this, and you might be in the same boat as me, Captain, is that there are a lot of movies that I've been told, some consider to be absolutely fantastic movies, and I've never seen them.
Of course.
Ironically, and it's because one, either I wasn't born yet or I was too young to watch it, and then I just never got around to it, that kind of thing. So movies like Jaws, the Bruce Lee movies, Halloween, which I really don't actually care about seeing, Rocky, some of those, and I intend to watch them. They just haven't, I've had other priorities, I guess. So those are movies I intend to watch. But then there are movies that I saw from the 70s that I don't remember very much. So movies like The Sting, which I remember being good, I think. But it's been so long. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, same kind of thing. I watched it once. I remember loving it, but I can't remember it. So I need to rewatch movies like that. So some of those absolute classics like that didn't make my list because of that. And I know you're in the same boat, but would you like to go first with your movies?
Yeah, so we just don't have as many life experiences with 70s movies, so our lists are going to be a lot shorter. So in this case, I'm going to go actually in reverse order, like Brian usually does, starting at number 1 and going down to I only have five tops and then like 8 honorable mentions, so a lot shorter than usual. Yeah. So my number 1 film of the 1970s was, let's face it, Star Wars Episode 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, A New Hope. I, like so many future nerds all over the world, was completely dazzled by Star Wars when I first saw it in the early 80s. This was just before I saw Close Encounters and E.T. and was just after Flash Gordon, so I had a lot of good sci-fi thrown at me when I was very young. I can remember how completely obsessed I was and my friends were with Star Wars, and the first 3 films were such a huge influence on my life. This childhood obsession with the original 3 movies and their feel and atmosphere is why I've always been so critical of the newer additions to the franchise. I can't help it. So there's my number 1. Number 2, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
There you go.
Now, this was going to be my number 1 only because it's such an amazingly good movie for the 1970s. I still have a hard time believing that Spielberg made this movie in the late 70s. It looks like a late 80s early 90s movie. It's just really ahead of its time. I first saw this when I was about 6 years old in 1982, right around the time E.T. came out, and blew everyone away. So it was my second consecutive experience with Steven Spielberg's work, and those two films really cemented a gold standard for movie directors into my young mind. Spielberg was the man when I was little. On some level, I compared almost every subsequent film I saw to Spielberg's work from then on, really for the rest of my life. I found out many years later that Close Encounters had been released in theaters in 1977 when I was only 1 year old. And like I said, I thought it came out in the early 80s. So I still can't believe how way ahead of its time this film was. I just watched it again a couple months ago, and it still holds up completely.
Nice.
Even in the realm of special effects, there was zero CGI back then, and you would never know it watching this movie. In fact, the lack of CGI and the creative techniques they use to make the UFOs in Close Encounters almost makes them look more authentic
I agree.
than CGI UFOs would. So it's just the way they did it. And the way, especially the way they manipulated light in the movie, was just fantastic. I don't think they could or ever should remake this film. They just don't need to.
I agree. And I still make, well, I haven't done it in a long time, but I used to make mashed potatoes into the, into the Devil's Tower. Yeah, I used to do that all the time. It was fun, So there you go.
Well, and Brian, if there's one movie in the rest of your life that I encourage you strongly to see again, it's Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
I will, and I have it ready to watch again, and so no worries. I absolutely will be doing that. So it's been so long, but there you go. Yeah. You know what's fun about this, by the way, is going back through and going, okay, here are the movies that I have, and then you look it up on Google and say, what are the top movies from the 70s? And then you go, oh my gosh, I forgot about that movie, or I didn't know that movie was within the 70s, or I didn't even know about that movie, and now I need to go watch it. Yeah. So it's an education for us, and I hope you're taking away movies that you can watch now too and look back and go, oh, these are great.
Indeed.
I love it.
Number 3, Alien.
Yeah.
All right, just to beat a dead horse, or in this case, a xenomorph, I love the Alien franchise, and it all started with this 1979 hit by then unknown director Ridley Scott. It was like it wasn't his first movie, but it was his first big movie for sure. The xenomorph creature dreamed up by psychedelic artist H.R. Giger was the subject of nightmares for me, and I was forever scarred by seeing this at a far too young age. After school, when I was 6 and 7 years old, I was babysitted by a woman who had 3 rather rough around the edges sons, and they had the biggest VHS collection I've ever seen in my life, all recorded from HBO or similar TV networks. I've never seen to this day, and of course you don't see them anymore, but even up until DVDs came out, I had never seen a VHS collection as big as this one. It was here that I was first exposed to movies like Alien, The Thing, Star Wars for the first time. Number 4, number 4 was actually Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yes. That's a
so
good one.
I was obsessed with this movie in high school. And we would have parties where we just watched this and everyone would recite all the best lines, kind of like a toned down Rocky Horror viewing without the props and rituals. So really nothing like Rocky Horror, I guess, but still hella fun. And I can still recite half the movie from heart. So nice. Monty Python and Holy Grail. Number 5, my last top movie of the 70s was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh yeah.
Another film I saw at my babysitter's house around 6 or 7 years old, and it had a lasting impression. See, by the way, I saw all these movies in the 80s because I was 4 when 1980 hit, and so I was too young to even watch movies before that. But it had a lasting impression on me. What kid from my generation and the one right before mine doesn't recall this movie with nostalgia?
Oh yeah.
I mean, the candy store at the beginning always had your eyes popping out, right?
Yeah.
So I've heard recently a funny take on Grandpa Joe's character and how he was basically a layabout invalid living on his daughter's hard-earned dime, and how as soon as Charlie gets this golden ticket, he's suddenly able to leap out of bed and get around just fine.
Oh yeah.
What a jerk, right?
Seriously. Yeah.
I mean,
Idiot.
It's funny how that sort of perspective would never occur to your average kid in the 70s and 80s, of course. But it kind of starts to ruin the film if you think about it, so you don't. So Sorry to everyone I just ruined the film for.
His mom was gonna go. You know, Charlie's like, "Hey, mom, you want to go?" No, I'm going. I can walk now. Wait, what?
Yeah, it's like he could have been earning a living to help the family, and she's working like 3 jobs to make ends meet, and he's just laying in bed all day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's just funny how I never thought it never would have occurred to me back then.
I think it kind of did to me. It was one of those like, this is odd, and then you know, you kind of go, why is it like this? But then you just kind of move on.
Yeah, I just accepted it, to be honest, until just within the last few months, I heard that take, and I thought it was really funny. So my honorable mention list, just really quick this time: Jaws, Apocalypse Now, Blazing Saddles,
yeah,
Rocky, The Exorcist, Superman 1 with Christopher Reeves, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and The Poseidon Adventure.
Oh yeah, Poseidon Adventure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Very nice, dude. Good movie list, man. Yeah. You know, it's funny, you look back at some of these and you go, oh man, some of these were excellent movies. And as I was looking through some of the lists, I went, I haven't heard of probably 80% of these movies from the 70s. And there's
or more, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even that, oh well, I'm just out of touch. It's more of that these movies didn't last. You know, they're not still talked about. But then you've got movies like you mentioned that are still talked about and still classics. Very interesting. All right, well, here's my list. So I went through, well, I've got my top 8 here, and then I've got a few honorable mentions as well. But my first one, yes, it's Star Wars Episode 4, absolutely. I started watching Star Wars as a young kid. You know, I'd watch it over and over. And here's the funny part. So if you remember in the garbage chute scene, you know, where it starts moving in on them and it's got all the sounds in the background, it sounded exactly like the garbage trucks that would come by our neighborhood. And so every time I would watch this scene, I would hear that and go, oh, are the trucks here? You know, it was so funny. And then, you know, obviously Star Wars just had a massive impact on my nerddom in general. I mean, let's be honest. I'm not the only one here. There have been many times imagining being a Jedi, flying starships across the galaxy, et cetera, et cetera. And now you look at all the TV shows and movies and everything else, games and everything that have come out to continue on throughout our lives. It's interesting because, you know, when the first 4, 5, and 6 came out, you didn't think there was going to be another Star Wars movie. And then episode 1, 2, and 3 came out and you thought, cool, all right, well, that's it, you know? And then all the TV shows, and then it was 7, 8, and 9, and that's just more and more and more video games, and you just go, wow, I guess we're going to have Star Wars for the rest of our natural lives, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah.
I also, which I thought was really cool, had the privilege of meeting Billy D. Billy D. Williams, you know, he was a really nice guy, but Lando Calrissian, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, whenever I see a pretty woman, I'm like, hold up. I'm Lando Calrissian. I blew up the second Death Star. Everybody talk about Han Solo. Forget Han Solo, man. Let me tell you something about Han Solo. That ship was mine.
Yeah.
He won it off me in a card game.
Dang right, baby. Dang right. Oh, yeah. So
that's nice.
I loved, by the way, the Foley sound effects from that movie. As you know, I'm a huge sound effects nerd, and so I just sharing a couple of them really quickly. The Death Star was actually taken from a Mr. Coffee, which my parents had, and every time you would make coffee from it, it would go that. It was so cool.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, and so they took that and they enhanced it and they did some other stuff. It was so awesome.
The tractor beam scene in the Death Star was a Mr. Coffee?
Well, it was when they would, you know, pull down the lever, getting ready to fire their super laser.
Okay, I thought the boo thing you described.
No. So it'd be like, you know, you may fire when ready, and it'd be like doot doot doot, and it'd be like, you know, it was so awesome, dude. That Mr. Coffee was awesome. Yeah, my Mr.
Coffee on my counter right now does not make any noise at all.
That was an oldie. I mean, they don't make that.
No fair.
You know, R2D2. You look at some of these. This was cool. It was a 50-50 mix of synthesizer generated sounds and then a voice, an actual person's voice making those kind of inflections. Vader's breathing was created by placing a microphone inside of a regulator on scuba breathing apparatus and then, you know, doing it different ways. Lightsaber hum was from an old motor on a projector from the cinema department they were in. Chewie's voice, I mean, this one, there was a lot about, but it was sounds collected from bears, badgers, walruses, and then it was just, you know, mixed up and everything, which makes a lot of sense.
Which is funny because now you have people who can just imitate the voice just fine without any of that stuff.
And they talk about that too, which is actually really cool. But there were so many neat things, like the Tauntauns was from an Asian sea otter. I mean, I mean, I think a lot of people know about General Grievous's cough was actually George Lucas when he had bronchitis. And then they
I
took
didn't know
it
that.
oh, see that? I mean, it's just like these little random. Jawa'ese was the real language of Zulu, and he had people speak Zulu, and then he sped them up and raised the pitch
Oh
in
my
Jawas.
gosh.
It's
That
just
is
all these,
so creative.
It's
Wow.
so neat. There's so many here, by the way. If you look them up and everything, they're so fascinating. I remember the laser, you know, the I can't do it, but the actual laser shot was they were, for whatever reason, he was on a hike. This sound guy, by the way, genius. I want to talk to this guy someday.
Oh man.
He passed
Get him on the
underneath the
show.
guide wires of a radio tower, bumped into it, and it made that twanging sound. And so he took a hammer and would hit that twang and be like, or whatever it is. I can't do it. But that's the laser sound that you get from
Like the name of a blaster, like the sound of a blaster.
yeah,
like
of a
Han Solo's
stormtrooper
blaster?
a stormtrooper blaster that you the
Okay.
traditional blaster sound that you hear is from hitting a
Wow.
guide wire on a radio tower. So
That's
there's so many
fascinating.
cool things, and you look back on that, and that goes back to what you were saying about the special effects versus just old models. Back in the day, they created these sounds with real life things that we have around us. And then they would turn it into something. And to me, that is so much more unique and beautiful rather than trying to create digital synthesized sound effects these days.
Yeah.
So, man, just the creativity and stuff that went into movies like that back in the day they blow my mind. They really blow my mind. So anyway, that's my number one, of course. Easily my favorite movies of the 70s. Definitely. American Graffiti, definitely my number two. I've talked about this before on the show about my love for the 50s and 60s as far as music and fascination with that time period. We watched this movie a lot in college and beyond, of course, and it became a cult classic, still is. So had to be my number two. Now, three for me is also Alien, which I thought was great. Now, to me, this and Aliens are the best in the franchise by a mile. I mean, they really are. They started it all. This movie was so masterful in its concept. It was revolutionary, too, as far as the quality Alien movies that were made after this. You know, people kind of took this. It's like The Matrix. You know what? We gotta raise, the standard's been raised. Let's follow that. The idea behind the xenomorph is awesome. It's brilliant. It's haunting. And even though it was made in 1979, I went back and rewatched this just recently. You still, ironically, even with those crazy computers, you still feel like you're in the future. And I don't understand how that's possible. Yeah, mother, shut up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that even because it was really old school technology that they had in these spaceships, and it just works. It works
really
for that movie. Yeah.
So, of course, my number four is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This is just a magical movie. I mean, you already talked about it. It's so amazing. I remember watching it and imagining that I would be Charlie as well, except not Charlie. I'd be me. I'd be Brian winning the prize of the Chocolate Factory, man. Come on. Fly that little elevator. The central, man, the central garden / park, that was in the near beginning of the episode when they're all eating all the various things. I mean, it still makes my mouth water, and you're like, oh, I want to try that. Oh, my gosh.
When that kid fell into the chocolate and got sucked up that tube, that scared the crap out of me. I was like, I don't want. I never
come back.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no helping him now. Yeah, he's screwed. I love
how would
that.
it be like to drown in chocolate, honestly?
Oh, yeah. I love how all the kids just go off and he's just like, whatever. Oh, well. Gene Wilder, by the way, just amazing. He's so phenomenal. I love the music in it, There are, by the way, I just want to say this. There are a lot of incredible life lessons and mentorship in this movie. And I want to say especially during the tunnel scene as well, but...
Who ever heard of a snozzberry?
Yeah, well, that's also my thought, too, is I love snozzberries, so she's an idiot because I love them and they're real. All right, Superman is number 5. Of course, it's Superman, the original Superman. I think this was the first time that I really saw a superhero movie brought to the screen in a way that was the way that I would imagine it, not cheesy and, things on string or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Christopher Reeves is Superman, the best Superman. No one's come close to him. Everything about this movie embodies a true superhero. The music is awesome. It means John Williams. The story's amazing. And yes, I dressed up like Superman as a kid because I am Superman. Number 6 is...
I had the Superman underoos too, dude.
You?
Go ahead.
Did you? Yeah. So, but I'm Superman, so you can't be too.
Okay.
You can't. We could both be Superman. Yes. Star Trek 6, the motion picture, is my number 6. Did I say Star Trek 6? Because I'm looking at number 6. Number 6 is Star Trek 1, the motion picture. This, by the way, Star Trek 6 I liked a lot more, but so it's not... The motion picture is definitely not my favorite Star Trek movie, but it was the first time, of course, as we know, the show was brought to the big screen, and the first time that they really had the budget to, I think, realize Gene Roddenberry's full imagination of the show, which was awesome. It's the first time we hear the famous Klingon theme that Jerry Goldsmith wrote. Same also with the Next Generation theme that was the theme for this movie. And even though it's not the best movie in the world, V'ger, I still love this movie, and I love all the original Star Trek movies. It's so cool.
It really wasn't that bad of a movie, honestly.
Well, you know, when they take like 45 minutes to fly through V'ger, and then it like shows Captain Kirk, and he's like, and then it goes back to flying through V'ger, and then it shows Spock, and he's like, and then it goes back to, you know, it's flying through more of V'ger, and then it shows, you know, Leonard McCoy, and they're all just looking out the screen, and nothing's happening for about 40 minutes. Anyway, it's still a great movie though. Escape from Alcatraz comes in at my number 7. I had the privilege of being a resident of Alcatraz back in the 30s.
All right.
I mean, I had the privilege of visiting, a few times. And the first time I went, I was a kid, and they let us see, let's just say this, they let us see a lot more than they do now. You know, the island has deteriorated quite a bit. And so, you know, as time goes on, more and more continues to be off limits. But the first time I went, they let you go in and out of the cells quite a bit. And I get to go into the cell of Frank Morris and John and Clarence Anglin, which was the famous Great Escape, not the first Great Escape, but the last one that was in the 60s. I think it was 1962. And it was right before the island closed, or the penitentiary closed. Because they were saying, okay, you know what, things are deteriorating. We just can't, and it's too expensive to run. We can do cheaper, you know, out in Atlanta or whatever. So they did that. I think San Quentin became like the next maximum security prison out in California. But anyway, that escape really fascinated me because I read the whole history about that and how they made paper mache heads and how they dug holes, you know, with like spoons and files and little things like that, you know, and they climbed through their grates and stuff like that. I mean, for whatever reason, that fascinated me because I know, you know, I visited San Francisco a lot. I had family that lived there. The bay is cold. It is, I mean, it's really, really cold water. People have tried to swim that and have frozen to death. Now, granted, they have these, whatever you call them, what do you call them, swim-a-thons? Aqua-a-thons. They have all
aquathons,
the ones where,
yes.
Aquathons, yeah. Well, they have the ones where, you know, people are running and swimming and biking and all that. Triathlons and stuff. So they have people that will swim across the bay, and they do it now in a safe manner, but you know, they're wearing probably specialized equipment, you know, so they don't freeze to death and stuff like that. But back then, you know, if you're trying to escape in the 60s from Alcatraz or even before that, you know, and 30s to 60s was when it was open. You know, when it's cold in the winter, you're probably going to die. You're probably not going to make it. You're going to freeze to death. So it was fascinating. And of course, you know, the story behind this is that the guys were never found. The bodies were never found. They probably escaped. Who knows? Who knows?
Or they were eaten by sharks and they never found the bodies. I mean,
yeah, or the sea lions that have taken over, you know, Pier 39 or whatever it is. But anyway, it's so fascinating. And so the tours that I would take at Alcatraz were just absolutely haunting. You know, they were fascinating. It was so amazing, so much history, you know? So then when I saw this movie, Escape from Alcatraz, I was just like, wow, this is so good. I really love it. It still holds up, by the way. It is fairly close to the true story. They took liberties, as every movie does, but it's a great movie. Number 8. This is a funny one, okay? You know the airport movies. I don't know if you're familiar with those. Arthur Haley wrote the books.
I know about the airplane movies.
Okay, so Airplane was a mockery of Airport, and then another movie actually that was nobody knows about. So the movies are interesting, but the Concorde Airport 79 is the 4th in that series, and it's bad. I mean, there's nothing good about this movie, really. If you were to go watch it right now, you'd be like, Brian, this is a bad movie. It's almost like a schlock kind of suspense movie. It's that bad. But for whatever reason, I loved this movie, especially when I was younger. But I mean, I was fascinated by the Concorde, dude. I mean, I always wanted to fly on one, and unfortunately, I was never able to. My granddad did, however. He was invited to fly, and he said that when they got up to the full altitude, which I think was around 80,000 feet, I want to say, he could literally see the curvature of the Earth. I mean, that's incredible. That's amazing. He's like, you know, you'd look out and it would be just curved. It was, anyway, I don't know. That just blew my mind. So do you remember
not that the Earth's curved, but weird. I didn't know they went that high. I know they went fast, but I didn't know they went that. I thought they went like 30, 40,000 like usual, you know? And I also know that they're not very big too. That like the inside is not very wide, right?
No, it's a small
maybe
plane.
4 across, something like that.
I think so. I think it was 4 across, and the windows, of course, were smaller and thicker because of being going up so high and everything, and you're going over Mach 2,
and it had the nose that went down.
Yeah, and it had the little shield that came up over the windows so that if you hit something, it didn't penetrate, you know, kind of thing. It was cool.
Oh, okay.
Well, you remember last week when I talked about that cockpit that I made in my bedroom? We were talking about Top Gun and stuff. So at one point, that cockpit became my Concorde cockpit, and of course, I flew all over the world, you know. But anyway, it's a ridiculous movie. It's so bad, it's worth watching. It's totally worth watching. Honorable mentions. I'll go through these quickly though. Monty Python on the Holy Grail, Pete's Dragon. I love that movie, man. The original. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I put in there because again, I remember it being fantastic. I just don't remember it very well. Tora, such a good movie. Grease,
good one.
Poseidon Adventure, Charlotte's Web. Oh man, I mean, I grew up with that movie. Speaking of animated, the Disney Robin Hood, by the way, I also grew up with. And then Airport, which was that first of that series, which I loved. And then the Kentucky Fried Movie, which I mentioned last week was the Zucker brothers that made Airplane, Naked Gun. This was their first movie, and it's unrated. And so there's some absolutely hilarious parts, and there's some absolutely highly inappropriate parts that you just can't show anymore. And so it is what it is. Now, I'll mention really, really quickly too, from The Huntress, the Muppet movie, Superman in Grease, Smokey and the Bandit, Close Encounters, Rocky, Escape to Witch Mountain, which I remember that was a good one too. Rocky Horror Picture Show, Jaws, the Robin Hood I just mentioned, and of course Willy Wonka as well. So thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah,
man, good times.
Thanks for the feedback.
All right, well, we are, man, what fun we've had today. There's a lot more we'd love to talk about, but really, really quickly, I just want to give a review. We mentioned this a few weeks ago. Amazon put out a new video game. Well, actually, they've done this before, but this was their first successful hit video game. It's an MMO. And we talked about it, I think, 3 weeks ago, saying we really want this, and we'll see what it does. Interestingly enough, it was a cheaper price for a new game, and it was a one-time charge versus the monthly charge that games like World of Warcraft and others still do. Right. So we tried it out, and we've been playing it now for the last couple of weeks, on and off for game nights and stuff like that. But what are your thoughts on it first?
It's not what I think they advertised it to be, as in like this breakthrough MMO that was finally a break in the paradigm of MMOs. Like you talk to a guy and he says, "Go kill this many of this thing," or "Go collect this many of that thing." I mean, that's just been that's been the formula of all MMOs really since MMOs started. Yeah. Especially with World of Warcraft and beyond. And this game, marketed itself to be something, very unique, different. It really isn't. I mean, it's not really different. It does have its pluses. I mean, it has a really good sound effects. Yeah. The graphics are beautiful. The atmosphere is beautiful. But there's something really addictive about it, especially if you're playing it for a short term. Like you just want to keep going out and mining more ore, or chopping more trees down, and those of you listening going, why is that fun, mining ore and chopping? I don't know why it's fun. It just is. But
if you have a stressful day, and you want to come back and do something that just doesn't require a lot of brain power or thought, and you just want something relaxing, maybe while you're watching a movie or listening to a podcast, or listening and watching this show, you know what I mean? That's fine. Point. I mean, you're right. It is kind of a mesmerizing and soothing kind of activity at times.
But I'm enjoying it. I think we're having fun with our game night group with it. I guess I mean, given that it's a $40, it's a one-time $40 purchase, and then you have it forever. I think it's worth it. At least so far, I've gotten my $40 worth for sure. Mm-hmm. But we're still waiting for that paradigm shift in MMOs. It's not there yet. So
yeah, we really are.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing that I thought about this game, is that really there's nothing unique about it, which just saddens me, because, everybody keeps talking. They hype this new game and this new MMO, and oh my gosh, it's got to be the best thing ever. We're all crying, we're like, oh, I'm going to wait in line for 40 years. And you get it and you go, okay, yep, same formula as everyone else. They just copy paste, put a different skin on it. And you're right. It is a beautiful game. It is a gorgeous game. The sound effects really are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I would be curious to know how they did that. The graphics are beautiful. The style of movement, fighting, and all that stuff is actually really, really cool too. You're right. The crafting, the mining, the gathering, it is weirdly amazing and fun to do, but the story is lacking once again. Another huge missed opportunity. The game, as of right now, the game's going nowhere. I mean, I still don't really understand what the purpose is. And I just kind of go, guys, you need something new. Like, And for those of you who are like, oh, I'm not a gamer, it doesn't, think about this. Think about watching movies that were the same cookie cutter things over and over and over and never really had any story. And you just kind of, you know, you get through, I don't know, 3/4 of this epic movie that has been, you know, promoted forever. And you're like, what's going on? What's the story? You know,
yeah, in this case,
that all the time.
This game has an unusually low level of story, actually. So
yeah, I read a review on Forbes actually where a guy was saying MMOs are notorious for not having a whole lot of story to begin with, and they're notorious for being a lot of grindy, kind of go do this, you know, collect this, kill that, etc.
I agree with the second part of that statement, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, Guild Wars 2 has a great story.
Amazing story.
Star Wars The Old Republic has a phenomenal story. Yeah. World of Warcraft has great story lore, in parts. But it has lore that if you read and, you know, you pay attention to all the quests, you kind of go, oh, that ties. I never paid attention to this before. That's really cool. And then you got other times where I'm like, there's just nothing here. There's just no content.
Right.
And then you've got other expansions that come out. Like, to me, Wrath of the Lich King of World of Warcraft had some of the best story in the entire game. I mean, Burning Crusade did too, and then it just kind of, my point is that MMOs in general are known for not having the greatest story. There's a couple exceptions. But they were saying that New World was almost a mockery of that concept because not only was there almost no story, but it just, the whole thing feels empty. It just feels like they didn't even try. So I don't know. I look at that and I say, okay, Amazon, you failed. Or you're still learning, kind of like we're learning video right now. We're still trying to figure this out. You know, we haven't succeeded at video because we're still trying to figure out what we're doing. But you know, we're not a multi-billion-dollar company like Amazon. You know, we're a couple dudes that are like, let's try video out and we'll work our way into this. You know, we're not famous yet. So if
they don't have an excuse. No,
if I was some like multi-million-dollar, you know, podcast going, hey, let's just try video out and we'll just suck at it. You know, I wouldn't do that. I don't know. So
no, I agree with you. Amazon dropped the ball on New World, to be honest, and I'm still enjoying it. We're still enjoying it. We're going to keep playing it for a while, but it could have been so much better.
I agree.
It just could have.
The last thing I'll say about it is that they have a chance to still add some stuff to it. You know, they can come out with some new content, new patches and things like that, and we'll see. But it just goes to show, I think, that, you know, people overlook a lot of indie things, indie games, indie movies, that kind of thing too. And, you know, indie music these days, because what is marketed to us is what we are known. That's what we know.
Sure.
So if it's not being marketed to us, we don't know about some of these hidden gems that are out there. And, you know, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's Amazon. It's got to be good. Well, it wasn't. So, I mean, it's not bad. Again, it's still enjoyable. We're still playing it. But the one saving grace, it was less expensive than a normal new game. And there's no monthly cost.
Right.
If it were full price or monthly, I think I would be very upset about this and I would want my money back. But thankfully, you know, it was a low enough price that it's like, we're still getting our enjoyment. So anyway.
Yep.
There you go. There's our review of New World for those of you who game. We love gaming. When you go and watch the YouTube channel, some of you are probably like, where's the YouTube channel? If you're listening, you're like, I don't know where to go. youtube.com/TheRealBrian. That's the direct link you can go. You can also just look for The Real Brian Show on YouTube. Eventually you'll find it. You know, the search engines hasn't gotten enough of us yet that we're going to pop up immediately. So you're going to have to look a little, but just go to youtube.com/TheRealBrian. You can go to the show notes to our website, realbrianshow.com. All of that information is in there. Links to everything. If you are coming on there, please subscribe, especially if you've been listening to the show this whole time. You know, go and at least subscribe to the YouTube channel. You know, you can check in on stuff. We are planning on doing some fun stuff, you know, maybe even exclusive to YouTube at some point, but we're just getting started. So we just want to get this up and have some fun. But please at least subscribe to the channel, like the video. And of course, if you're new, welcome. I mean, seriously, I hope you've made it this far. This is a show that is multi-passionate, just like the Wraith said at the very beginning. We do jump all over the place. It's a morning show style. It is intended to be variety on purpose. Yes, we might tend towards the nerdier things, you know, more often than not, but this is what we do. This is who we are. So give us a chance, you know, listen a little, watch a few more, subscribe, like the videos, comment too. Love to hear your comments. By the way, you'll notice I've been responding to everybody so far. So, you know, if you actually want to talk, let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah. No trolls, though, okay? We all keep it respectful here. We have fun here.
Deep Thoughts with Captain Influence.
What if they had made jack-o'-lanterns out of oranges instead of pumpkins? They would definitely be easier to throw, and if you get hit by one, you'd smell great. Would we eat orange pie for Thanksgiving?
Well, you know what the music means.
I think I do. I'm still figuring it out.
I know, and the one thing about that I don't understand is that, actually, I really have no idea what I'm talking about. But hey, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. RealBrianShow.com. All the information is there. RealBrianShow.com/301 with all the show notes and everything. And of course, YouTube.com/TheRealBrian. Enjoy. Thank you for joining us. Have a glorious week. And The Real Brian Show is signing off.
The Real Brian Show is a production of 514 Media at 514mediaempire.com.